Good morning and welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. It is just about 16 minutes after 6 o'clock and we're going to jump inside of it one time. We head across to Tobago. I want to welcome this morning the founder of the Youth Elevating Youth and a member of the Youth Assembly, Ms. Aleah Holder, is joining us this morning. Aleah, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, and you?
So far, so good. I'm curious, firstly, about what does our Youth Elevating Youth? What are you guys all about?
So it's elevating it's a organization founded on the basis for elevation, basically to remind them that they have a way in life and they can exceed no matter the circumstance.
All right. So do you guys get involved in politics at all?
No, that's not the organization anymore.
All right. Okay. But you are also a member of the Youth Assembly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I am. I'm a councillor in the Youth Assembly.
All right. Nice. So tell me how you feel about the results from the THA elections.
What I can say about the results of the Tobago election is that democracy showed its way and Tobago has spoken, and once Tobago is happy, then I am happy.
All right. Do you think there was a large youth vote turnout?
For yes, there was, and then some youth were undecided, so some stayed at home. But I feel as though the majority of youth show their way in this polling instance.
Okay. And with regards to, you said democracy is alive and well, and obviously people decided what they wanted, and that's always great, especially in a democracy. But what do you think Tobagonians expect to see changed going forward, especially from a youth perspective?
I think that the major issue within us youth is employment. So obviously, youth will be looking for job opportunities that fit within their criteria and job opportunities that give them experience. So like where there would have been the S program and the World of Work program under the Division of Youth Affairs and Sport for experience purposes, because most jobs right now you need experience to go into. I think that you will be looking for more opportunities like that where they can gain experience, and those opportunities need to be tailored to the grassroots youths who not necessarily have a certain amount of qualifications to be qualified to those workshops. Another thing that I think the youth will be looking for is the opportunity for their voices to be heard and for them to be listened to. As it pertains to what Tobago wants, I cannot say what Tobago wants on a whole, but I would say from the election results that it would seem as though Tobago wants something new and they want a change. So I do hope that the new administration listens to Tobago firstly and then makes their decision as it pertains to how Tobago speaks.
All right, nice. So in terms of the youth perspective, I'm curious as to how the youths have been feeling about the autonomy. Tobagonian youths, do they want autonomy from Trinidad?
Firstly, Tobago youths are hardly involved in politics, and the very few that are want it, yes, but we want it without the fact that we have to secede from Trinidad. That's the issue. That's the general version on the ground. As it pertains to the wider version of youths, they really don't care, and whatever happens, happens, because there hasn't been a pathway for youths to say, well, okay, I want to be interested in politics because of the mudsliding and the backlashing that happens during election time. Youths tend to stay away from the whole aspect of politics because we all think that it is a nasty game, yes, but we all think that if you get into it or you say something on it, there is disagreement and there is terms of someone to curse you and tell you about your personal life and stuff like that. So if I would definitely say that the majority of youth say no, or they don't have a say exactly, but the ones who are involved have a say on self-governance in Tobago, and we would like for it to happen without secession.
Without secession. That's an important aspect of it. But I'm curious as to how can we motivate the youth to get involved, to get more involved in politics and to actually, be more concerned about what goes on inside of the House of Assembly.
How about politicians sticking to their word and politicians getting at each other's throats during election, and after election we see you all as friends? So what pattern do we take from that? How about having a clean run no matter who is on either side and having a clean run no matter if you dislike somebody or not, because at the end of the day, it's country or island first and not people. About putting political parties aside and being mature enough to understand that the youths are watching and that we take note of all these things.
So we need to make it more, I mean, if we make it cleaner, then it'd be more encouraging for the youths to want to be a part of it, because nobody wants to be a part of it as it is currently.
Correct.
Have you been engaging youth in Tobago to get them more involved in politics?
As a part of the youth assembly, we had to do that. So in terms of canvassing with the youth assemblymen and stuff like that, we would have gone to communities and tried to get them to even vote for the youth assembly, and even that in itself was challenging. So other than that, we have tried on social media and stuff like that. And again, as old people say, you could carry the horse to the well, but you can't make it drink. So we have done all that we can, and it's now for the youth in our community and elsewhere to come forward and help us.
What do you think of the work that people like the Civil Net did during the campaign or the election season, where they were, trying to engage the politicians and in that same manner that you're talking about, bring everybody to the table and have a nice, clean discussion?
I think that was excellent. Everyone wanted that to happen, but throughout the years, as election goes by, we all have noticed that the People's National Movement usually don't show up. And for me, as a youth, that's something that I wonder, why don't you all show up to these debates or these open discussions, and why do you all shy away from the media? As a youth, it shows to me that you all don't have accountability and you all don't take responsibility for what happens during your tenure, and therefore I feel as though we should get persons who are accountable and responsible, and that they are free to talk on issues that happen, and they're free to answer questions, and they don't shy away from the media when they are called. So Civil did a good job in getting who they could have gotten, and I'm sure that they would have sent letters to the People's National Movement, and I'm sure that letters were not noticed.
Well, from what I heard, the letters were responded to, but the response wasn't favorable as well, as we all saw, because they didn't attend. But going forward, how do you suggest that we present to the youth of Tobago a way forward, or how can we get what the youth of Tobago want? I know you said employment is a major factor, but in terms of getting them to aside from just doing clean politics, which is a long shot because people are stuck in their ways, unfortunately. But we see the tide turning a little bit, and Tobago has definitely made their voice heard. But I'm curious as to the engagement and getting, because even in this conversation that we spoke about just now with Civil Net, I felt as though young people were watching and paying attention, but they weren't engaging. How do we get them to engage even in that sort of clean discussion?
Okay, so there was two campaign strategies that I noticed on either side. The People's National Movement had a youth ride where they took the youths and carried them into the homes of their parents and grandparents, which allowed them to have a greater perspective and a greater history on what happens during election time. And as I touched on the point of history, there is nowhere in Tobago for us to know the history of Trinidad and Tobago elections and what happened. And Google is very limited. So I think that letting you know what happened in the past and letting us have a historical aspect of what happened is important. Also, staying on the ground and listening to us, because you youth like to know that people are listening and they are taking what we say into consideration. So even for the Tobago Youth Assembly, we have debated various motions and all of them were just tabled and they died. So in terms of that, it seems as though you're just wasting time in terms of finding the necessary information and sitting and debating these things, and you always table them and allow the bills to die. You could at least take them into consideration and have an actual debate in the legislature about it and actually put something, what the youth said, into fruition. Because what the Tobago Youth Assembly would have done as councillors and as assemblymen, we would have gone on the ground and gotten what the youths wanted in terms of whatever motion was laid to us and whatever motion we came up with. And we asked them what we want and we tailored it into each of our presentations. And if that's not us speaking for the voiceless and for the youths that are afraid to speak, then I don't know what else they want us to do.
I completely hear you and I totally understand. And I want to thank you so much for joining us and for sharing this morning with us a path forward and of course, some of the effects that the elections has had on the youth. Thank you so much, Aleah Holder. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.